Welcome to Twisted Tales, the podcast where shadows come alive, mysteries unravel, and the ordinary turns sinister. I'm your host, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for our very first episode. Prepare to step into a world where every creak, every shadow, and every unexplained sound tells a story. Stories that will grip your imagination and haunt your dreams. For our premiere, we're diving into a chilling tale called The Crimson Curse. It's a story of suspense, terror, and the unknown. Without further ado, let's begin. Chapter 1, The Crimson Curse. Everything's blurry. My head feels like it's been split open, and my neck aches with the kind of pain you get from falling asleep with a wrong posture. I'm still at my desk. My muscles are stiff, and the weight in my chest feels like nails piercing through. It's past 3 a.m. I can tell by the silence, just the faint whir of the laptop fan, my uneven breathing, and the glow of the screen illuminating the darkness. The cursor blinks steadily against the title, The First Murder. I don't remember finishing the draft, only staring at that cursed title, wondering if I ever would. The smell hits me next, metallic and sharp. It clings to the air, overwhelming. Rust? Why is it so strong? I switch on the desk lamp, wincing as the light floods the room. My tiny apartment looks worse than usual. The trash bin overflowing with crumpled papers, discarded takeout boxes scattered across the floor. My latest attempts at writing, all failures, lay abandoned in the chaos. When did I last leave this place? My head throbs as I try to remember. Closing my eyes, I press my fingers to my temples, desperate to ease the pain. The texture stops me cold, sticky, wet. I jerk my hands back and stare, my breath catching in my throat. I can feel the thump of my beating heart. Red streaks covered my fingers, dripping onto the desk. My chest tightens as the truth claws its way into my mind. Blood. Panic grips me. My head starts to shake as I try to piece it together. Am I dying? Did I finally give in to the thoughts that have been gnawing at me for weeks? Is this it? No. This isn't happening. I throw myself out of the chair, a sudden jolt nearly sending me sprawling over it. Am I tripping? I haven't touched anything over a week. No pills, no ecstasy. I haven't. I stare at my pale, hollow-eyed face, fumbling for the tap. The water gushes out against my bloody, warm hands. I scrub my hands furiously, my breathing uneven. This can't be blood. It can't. Where did it come from? Did I hurt myself? The questions flooded into my mind, one after the other, relentless and unforgiving. Then I see it, a splatter of red on my gray shirt. Not a smear, not a drop. A splatter. The kind you'd see after butchering someone in a frenzy. My stomach churns and nausea washed over me. My hands, trembling violently, fumbled with the buttons of my shirt. I couldn't look at it any longer, tossing it aside desperately. Focusing my attention on examining myself, I searched my body frantically for a wound. A cut, a bruise, anything. But there's nothing. Not a scratch, not a mark. This isn't my blood. The realization hit me like a freight train. This isn't my blood. The room seemed to shrink as my chest tightened further, and a creeping dread clawed its way up my spine. My heart thudded in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears. Where had the blood come from? My mind scrambled for answers, but every thought felt tangled, incoherent. I forced myself to move, stumbling toward the living room. My bare feet slapped against the cold floor as my eyes darted around, scanning the space for anything, any clue that might explain the crimson horror. The disarray of my apartment seemed almost sinister now, the clutter taking on a malevolent edge under the harsh glare of the desk lamp I'd left on. And then I saw it, the carpet near the doorway, a trail of dark red droplets, almost black against the beige fibers. The sight turned my stomach, but I couldn't look away. My feet moved as if of their own accord, carrying me closer. The drops led to the front door, where they pooled slightly, as if someone had paused there before exiting. I reached for the doorknob, my hand trembling. My breath hitched as I twisted it and pulled the door open. The hallway outside was dim, illuminated only by a single flickering bulb overhead. The trail continued, disappearing down the corridor. What the hell is going on? I whispered to no one in particular, my voice hoarse and barely audible. My pulse hammered as I debated my next move. Call the cops? But what would I say? That I woke up covered in someone else's blood with no memory of how it got there. The thought made my head spin. Instead, I grabbed my phone from the desk, my fingers smearing the screen as I swiped it open. No messages, no missed calls. no notifications. It was as if the world outside had forgotten I existed. I opened the camera and switched to the flashlight, the beam cutting through the dim hallway as I followed the trail. Each step felt heavier than the last. The droplets led to the stairwell, the air growing colder as I descended. The metallic tang of blood lingered in my nostrils, making me gag. On the third floor landing, I paused, the flashlight catching something on the wall. A handprint. It was smeared, as if whoever left it had stumbled, their fingers dragging across the paint. My breathing quickened as I reached out to touch it, the blood still tacky under my fingertips. Whoever it belonged to, they hadn't been gone long. The trail led further down, and I hesitated. Did I really want to find the end of it? My instincts screamed at me to turn back, to lock myself in my apartment and pretend this was all some fever dream. But curiosity, or perhaps some morbid sense of duty, kept me moving. At the bottom of the stairs, the trail veered toward the building's basement. The door to the maintenance room stood ajar, the fluorescent light inside flickering ominously. I pushed it open with my foot, the creak of the hinges echoing in the confined space. And then I saw it, a body. Sprawled on the floor, lifeless and pale, the blood pooling around it was the same deep red that stained my hands and shirt. The sight was almost too much to bear, and I stumbled back, my flashlight shaking as I tried to process what I was seeing. The man was unfamiliar, his face contorted in a grimace of pain. His clothes were torn, and his chest bore deep gashes, as if he'd been attacked by something or someone. "Oh my God," I whispered, the words barely escaping my lips. My mind raced, the questions multiplying. Who was he? What happened to him? And more importantly, why was his blood on me? As I stood there, frozen, a faint sound reached my ears. A low guttural growl that sent chills cascading down my spine. My flashlight swept the room, landing on a shadow in the far corner. It moved. Panic surged through me as the shadow shifted, stepping into the light. Eyes, bright, piercing, and filled with an unnatural hunger, locked onto mine. My blood turned to ice. What happens next? Who or what is lurking in the shadows? And how is it connected to the Crimson Curse? Find out in the next episode of Twisted Tales, only on your favorite podcast platform. Stay tuned for more suspense, terror, and unraveling mysteries. You won't want to miss it. And if you have a story you'd like to share, email it to us at yourstorytwistedtales@gmail.com, only on your favorite podcast platform. Stay tuned for more suspense, terror, and unraveling mysteries. You won't want to miss it.